Here's the thing, Ryan. She says, every time I see you, you're heavier, your blood pressure is higher, and you're about to cross that threshold with your sugar where there's no coming back, and you're adult onset diabetes. And I thought, wow. And then she said, you're in your 40s. I'm 42 now, so this would have been, 40, 41 at the point. And she said, either your mind or your body is going to change. At this point, it's a race.
Okay, welcome back to Real Keto Talk. I'm very excited today for the guest that we have on with us. We have on somebody that has inspired me hugely, and I think everybody's going to enjoy hearing from him. So allow me to introduce to everybody Ryan Hunt. Ryan, how are you?
Great. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I was so excited you agreed to come on and let me pester you with lots and lots of questions.
My pleasure. It really is.
Yes. So everybody knows how I know Ryan is. He is one of the worship leaders at my church and has one of the most amazing singing voices I have ever heard in my life. And I am just I love it every time I get to hear any note come out of his mouth. So that is an extra bonus to having Ryan on here. I'm going to let everybody know where they can hear him as well when we get a little later on. But the reason, Ryan, that I asked you to come on is you have had quite a journey and in your health and in your weight loss. And I want everybody to hear a little more about that because it has truly inspired me. But first, just tell everybody a little more about yourself.
Well, thanks, Chris. So my name's Ryan. I'm 42 years old. I'm married, have a 12-year-old son, currently living in Phoenix, Arizona, working at Christ Church of the Valley as a worship pastor. Been here for a little over 8 years now. And but I grew up in Kentucky. I grew up in a family that we were definitely a husky bunch. And health was never something that I saw anyone like take serious or champion in my family. We just my mom was an amazing cook. My grandmothers were amazing cooks. You know, everything was. My wife would say when she first started to meet my family 20 plus years ago. She's like, everything revolves around food in your family. I was like, it sure does. So I don't know what else to say about that.
It's a common story. That's something that's it's part of the dynamic a lot of us grew up with, which is a good thing actually. I mean, it's something that everybody gets around, and that's great. So let's kind of start at the end and then go back to how you got there. But so you went on a journey to get healthier, lose some weight, get healthier in general. Tell everybody, how much weight have you lost?
77 pounds.
That is incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So what made you decide to start this journey? What made you actually decide to go down this road?
So 2019, I went to Belarus, and it was a mission trip for my church, and it was just an incredible experience. Had a great time there, and we had to one of the days there they wanted to give us a bike tour of the city, and I thought that sounds fun. It's been a while since I've been on a bike. I used to ride a bicycle back and forth to work. Maybe 8 or 10 years previous to this will be fun. And we did like, I don't know, 15 miles, 18 miles across the city of Minsk in Belarus. And I could not believe how exhausted and worn out I was. And that was just interesting to me. Like, dang, I remember riding my bike, 20 miles a day, 10 miles back and forth to work, and didn't feel like this. And I'm just putting around town with a group of people, not in a hurry or anything. It's really wore me out. So that was kind of interesting. And then we're in Belarus. We fly back to Phoenix, and I get really sick. And for about a month, I was just like really, really sick. We were kind of traveling intermittently through that season and went to a few different doctors. Was traveling across the country, and so I stop into like urgent cares, and maybe I have strep throat, maybe I have this, I don't know. I mean, shoot, I may have had COVID. Who knows? Because, like, we weren't testing for it then. But however, when I got back to Phoenix, it had been about 30 days, and went to my doctor here. And, she's a CCB lady. And, she said, here's the thing, Ryan. She says, every time I see you, you're heavier, your blood pressure is higher, and you're about to cross that threshold with your sugar where there's no coming back, and you're adult onset diabetes. And I thought, wow. And then she said, you're in your 40s. I'm 42 now, so this would have been, 40, 41 at the point. And she said, either your mind or your body is going to change. At this point, it's a race. And I was like, wait a minute, you're blaming me for this? And like in my family, most people over 40 have diabetes. We give it to ourselves. My father-in-law has diabetes, and it's all on adult onset. It's not where someone's born with it, but it's physically we eat ourselves into being diabetic. And it was honestly the first time in my life that I considered a different path. There'd been many times in my life. I was a big kid, getting made fun of in school, being a big kid. I've always been bigger than my friends, just that's always been a thing. And there's been several times throughout the years where I would become embarrassed or feel ashamed of the big guy in the mirror. I didn't want to be the big guy in the mirror anymore. And, or just having a hard time when I go to buy clothes and just be mad because I can't find clothes that fit me. And it just the worst day of my year would be going to Kohl's to buy clothes and just hate it. And so my motivation to be healthy was always about, actually it wasn't healthy. My motivation was just not wanting to be a big guy in the mirror anymore. And that never worked. It was never sustainable. So whatever weight I lost, I always gained it back. And so 2019, August is when this conversation happened. And I weighed in that day at 288. And so I think, and I'd been sick for over a month at that point. So I think I was well north of 300 pounds. There's a photo of me that my wife showed me recently that was actually taken. I'll show you here, of me while I was in Belarus. And I think I had to be north of 300 here.
See.
You can see.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hardly remember you like that.
Yeah. A bunch of my friends were doing keto at the time. And so I called my doctor and I said, hey, I've been reading about keto. I read something about if you're diabetic, keto can be very dangerous. You shouldn't do it because the reason diabetics end up in a coma is because their body goes into ketosis, and it's very bad because their insulin's all out of whack. And she said, well, you're not diabetic, you're pre-diabetic. If you want to give it a try, just let's try it. She warned me to watch my cholesterol because sometimes when people do keto, they do what is called dirty keto.
Yeah.
It's just meat and cheese and whatever. And so she says to be very, very, very careful on how you approach it and just eat clean. And there's better ways to do it. But she had also said that it's not necessarily something that people just continue to do their whole lives. And so if you want to try it, try it. So I tried it. And in 2 months, I'd lost 30 pounds. I couldn't believe it. But I was noticing something, just a personal thing. People around me who were also doing keto, they kind of got to a place where they were sick and tired of not having carbs. And typically how these diets, any of the fad diets work is pendulum swings this way and then it swings this way, right? And so I've been telling myself, no, I can't have this for the last 2 months. Now, screw that. I'm eating all the pizza in town. I'm eating all the tacos in town.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm watching my friends gain that weight back. And it occurred to me, man, this is a path. I'm familiar with this. I've done this in my life where I've lost 20 pounds. I've lost 30 pounds. Now, once in my life, I even lost 40 pounds. I was riding a bike every single day, counting every little calorie, counting all the macros, and I wouldn't go out and eat with people, wouldn't go out to celebrations or birthday. I would dread Thanksgiving. I would dread Christmas because, you know, uh, if I can't be in complete control of my food, then like it's just going to screw me up, And so after 2 months, I made a decision um, to shift out of keto per se versus just counting the macros to what I call now. I don't count carbs, but I'm carb conscious. So
So explain that a little more. I think tell us a little more what that means.
yeah, so in keto, you're counting macros at a very like it's precision. It's no more than 20 or 25 carbs a day. Like you got your percentages of fat versus protein versus carbs. So that has to be in a certain number for your body to be in ketosis.
Yeah.
And then you stay there, but you can very quickly, if you eat too much sugar or you eat something that had too many carbs, it throws your body out of ketosis, and you got to go through the whole thing again, where you go through the keto flu and all this stuff, and it's just like something that's not for me sustainable. And so I will look at things like I'll eat toast, multigrain, healthy toast in the morning. I'll put some peanut butter on it. Sometimes I'll chop up some strawberries and put on it. Sometimes instead of peanut butter, I'll use cream cheese. Like I think about things that are going to sustain me through the day, and the perspective of you ever heard the phrase like people eat how they feel. Like, yeah, I mean we feel bad, we eat a bunch of junk, but like what occurred to me is I actually like I'd gotten 2 months into eating really clean, and then if I ate something, my body would respond to it very quickly, like, ugh, what'd you just do to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, no, it's actually backwards. It's like we feel how we eat. And so, like, something shifted in my head from instead of chasing like a number on a scale, instead of like, chasing a waist size, or it's, I want to feel good. I want to be able to get on my bike and ride to the other side of town if I want to without having to stop every 10 minutes and breathe. I want to be able to walk up and down stairs without panting. I want my son to see something different than I saw growing up. And that's a shift. So, like, every now and then, if I want a donut, I go to Sweetheart Donuts in Anthem, Arizona, which is not super close to me, but they're my favorite donuts on the planet. So if I want a donut, I'm going to drive out of my way to get one, you know, and I really enjoy that thing. And about 35 seconds later, my eyebrows are breakdancing because all the sugar, you're like, what's happening, But I'm not jumping in and out of keto, it's like I'll have that stuff every now and then. I eat really clean. So I'm not going to go through McDonald's and get French fries or get a cheeseburger. Occasionally we'll go to In-N-Out and I'll get what's called a Flying Dutchman, which is just two patties and cheese in the middle. Like I'll get that occasionally. I'll do chicken wings occasionally. I don't do much breaded stuff unless, again, it's like I really want it. And some people would say, yeah, what you're talking about is kind of like a cheat diet, where you have a cheat day. And I actually hate that. Like I say, no, 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 I'm actually against that because I feel like that's back against this philosophy that's failing people with their
Mm-hmm.
health. And the philosophy is we see diet as a list of restrictions. We see diet as punishment,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're in food prison. You were bad. You're naughty. Now you're in prison.
Yep.
And I think actually diet is actually meant to be seen more as a philosophy of how we view food, like, and how what we see it doing for our bodies. And
Yep.
so I think about what are things that are sustaining for me that I feel good after I eat. I have a really busy schedule, and so I need to like have sustainable energy all day because when I get home at night, I still want to have energy for my wife and my son. And so, like eating food that allows me to do that, like it allows me to sustain the life I want to live. That's how I'm seeing it. So seeing food as fuel is great. And then occasionally, like when I want a treat or if I want pizza, I'll still eat pizza. I go to the best pizza place in town, and me and my son will split pizza. But like before, like we'd eat pizza twice a week. I'd order Domino's, eat whatever garbage I wanted, and I'd eat a whole large pizza by myself, and like that was just terrible. but I didn't know it was terrible for me because everything I ate was terrible for me and my body was just used to feeling bad. And so if you're able to eat clean long enough that your body like adjusts to that, like you realize when you eat some of this stuff, like you realize it's bad for you instantly because how bad it makes you feel.
Like you don't realize how bad you were feeling until you start feeling better.
Yeah, it's right, exactly. And so before like the reward, like the cheat day mentality is like, well, I've punished myself 6 days. On that
Mhm.
seventh day, man, I'm going to go crazy. And I understand there's some with your metabolism, there's some actually science behind some of that stuff, but I just don't meet many people that are able to sustain that, you
Yeah.
know. And as you talk about all the diets, some people are, they do intermittent fasting. Some people are doing keto. Some people are doing this or that. And I also understand everyone's body is different. So how my body responds to stuff is going to be different. And that's discouraging because there's been a couple people I've coached over the last few months through some of this, and I got this guy I was meeting with who he actually was doing keto, doing it very clean, and in 1 month he lost 5 pounds. He was very discouraged. I
Yeah.
said, "Dude, you lost 5 pounds." He goes, "Yeah, but like everyone else I know, they lost 10 or 15." And it's like, man, I've been punishing myself all month. I said, "Did you hear what you just said? Like punishing yourself." So that's the mentality of the like the diet that's just not going to work. If diet is tethered or connected to punishment, like how are we ever going to sustain that? Like I hate myself, so I'm going to eat food that's good for me. Like it's weird, right?
It's kind of the I'll suck it up until I can go back to doing what I was doing.
Yeah, and like if you kind of figure out, like I think anyone who comes to me and says, "Hey, you have any advice to lose weight?" And what I want to do is have a conversation first. Let's talk about why you want to lose weight. What is that really about? You know, and because it's a mental game. You're right. That it's like my doctor said, it's a race. At this point, either your mind's going to change or your body is. And like it's like, dang, that accountability is on me. But I know a lot of people who eat really clean, who exercise, and just the way their metabolism works, it's just a different thing for them. So like we gotta be careful to not cast judgment on others and also to have grace for ourselves, that just knowing that all of our bodies and our metabolisms are just different how that's going to work, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Like I am 200 right now currently, my current weight is 215. My doctor's goal for me was to be 215.
Oh, right there. Good for you.
So, but I'm still a big guy. I work with people who are 160 pounds. If I'm comparing my health to this guy over here who's 160 pounds, like then I'm failing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like with my frame, I'm exactly where I should be. And it'll
Yeah.
it'll
You look amazing. You really do.
it'll go up and down. It'll go up 3 or 4 pounds down. Just but
Yeah.
like you know,
So what did you tell the guy that was, because this is a good important point. Everybody, and it's something we talk about a lot here. I always say we don't want to make our diet our second full-time job. And I mean that in the sense of we don't want it, when people diet, a lot of times, like you said, that is like their obsession till they get where they want to be. And you can really get wrapped up in the obsession of the
yeah,
diet. And how do we make it more of a livable lifestyle, which means not how do you hate doing something? How can you tolerate doing something you hate for the rest of your life? But how do you figure out how to be in a place to do something that makes you feel great for the rest of your life? But we
yeah.
still have to go through this journey. So, what did you say to the guy that was, for obvious reasons, probably having a little bit of a confidence issue after working so hard? What did you say to him to keep him going on his path?
So it's reminding people of their goals. Okay, so if your primary goal is to drop weight, like I don't know that I'm going to be a great person for you to talk to, because my primary goal is to get you feeling good, is to get you feeling better. And like eventually, if you're very overweight, like I was, then you're going to see weight loss. If you eat cleaner, you stop drinking pop, you stop, engulfing sugar and add some motion to your day. You're going to lean up, you're going to lose some weight. How much you lose, now that no one should be making promises for that,
Mhm.
at least sustainable ones. I could take anyone and help them lose 5 or 10 pounds in a month guaranteed, but like if the goal is to keep that off, what's that look like?
Yeah.
So just a reminding him of the goals that he set for himself, in which all of them he was hitting, except the scale was kind of misleading him. So I think that slave to the scale mentality is not. I think the scale is great for like it's one measurement we should
Yeah.
use. You know, I have a scale that connects to my phone that gives me my fat percent. It gives me my hydration. It gives me my bone density, my muscle weight, like, and all that stuff's good information. To have. I love that it gives me all those things, because if I'm just looking at the big number there, like it's not a great picture. Now with keto, a very common thing I see, but not just keto, any like fast weight loss thing, is people lose muscle mass. And your muscle is your body's built-in way to burn calories. So if you're taking in 1,800 or 2,000 calories a day, and you're burning through all of your muscle as well as your fat, you get to this point where when you plateau, there's no muscle there to continue to burn that fat. So people
Yeah.
plateau. Then they give up and they eat stuff that's not nutritious, that the body doesn't need. And so the body stores it, and there's no muscle there to continue to burn that stuff. So now you gain weight faster. And so you actually end up bigger with less muscle mass. And then that cycle it's very discouraging. I've been
Yeah.
there. Anyone who struggled with their weight has been there. I didn't know that's why that was happening. So I did find when I was doing full keto, it was hard to exercise. I've heard a few different people explain this to me. Something with like your muscles need the glucose to repair themselves or whatever, and so you need some sugar. I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't know. When you dig into the stuff online, there's different opinions about it. All I can speak from
Yeah.
is my
Yeah.
experience. I don't have a degree in it; it's my experience.
Well, I mean, you exercise a lot. In fact, you just got back from quite a race. I know you do a lot on your bike. So how did you solve this problem? Because clearly you are extremely athletic, doing some very impressive things, and you're still doing a carb conscious type of diet. So how did those two end up fitting together?
So, like, the amount of carbs that I'm taking in a day, it seems sustainable to me. I feel when it's not, because I just get too tired.
Mhm.
So I was riding a bike every single day. I was on a road bike riding anywhere from 30 to 60 miles every single morning.
Incredible.
It was nuts, but not sustainable. I kind of got addicted to it, and it was also during quarantine when everyone was
Mm.
home and couldn't go to work, and I was just bored out of my mind. So I'd wake up at 4:30 in the
Yeah.
morning, and I
Yeah.
could sit there and just be panicky about what's happening around the world. Or I could get on my bike and go out, and it was a great like mental clarity for me. But I could ride my bike for 4 hours. When I left, everyone's in bed at home. When I got home, they were still in bed. So like it didn't, it wasn't affecting anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's a tricky one, because when you mix in like high intensity cardio or a very intense workout system that you're doing, your body learns like this is what we do with the calories, right? And so you actually end up eating different. Like I went on one bike ride this summer. It was 102 miles. It was 107 degrees outside. It was brutal, and I burned 6,000
Oh,
calories that day.
wow.
So I'm traveling with like little peanut butter pouches and things, and I burned through those so fast. The next thing you know, I'm stopping at gas stations and grabbing just like whatever I can that'll fuel me, bananas and stuff, and just trying to make, because like you hit this wall and you just run out of energy. So
Mhm.
you feel it real time on a bike. But that was interesting to me to take that and to see how that connects to my everyday life. Like when I hit a wall, the challenge, is, man, I need to take a nap, or I need a cup of coffee. Well, no, maybe I just need to eat a half a banana, or maybe I need to like, uh, I'm running out of gas. That's the wall I'm hitting. My
Yeah.
body needs more fuel. And so again, it just reinforced the idea of diet as a philosophy of what I use to fuel my body. So keep almonds present. Like, for me, these things work really well. They keep me energized. They may not for other people, but so when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I need help," like the first thing we do is talk about the why, and why it shouldn't just be about the scale. The scale is a measurement device. That's all it is. But it's one. We need several. The second thing I tell them is you need to go to your doctor and get the most extensive blood work you can
Mhm.
get done, and
Yes.
let them inform what you're doing,
Yes.
because like you may be really deficient in some areas, and maybe that's partly like
Yes.
what's going on, or you may have Hashimoto's, and in fact, like if you tried to do what I'm doing right now, that would be very dangerous for you,
Yeah.
like my wife has Hashimoto's, and so when I'm feeling tired and wore out, it's a sign to me that I need to actually press into that.
Yeah.
If she would do that, it would totally like dump her immune system and she'd be sick for a month. So
Yeah.
the wisdom of going to your doctor, getting the blood work, and
I
then
think that's a piece that doesn't get talked about enough, frankly, because
yep,
sometimes if you don't know what's going on underneath all this stuff, that can make you feel like you're banging your head against the wall because you may not know what's happening
yep, yep.
underneath the surface.
Yeah, and there's a lot of science about even your blood type out there, just like the kind of blood type you have versus the type of nutrition that benefits your body. Like that's really interesting. But if there's not just a blanket, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse. Some people say, well, I think some of the reasons people don't see the same, they don't see the weight loss, the same
Yeah.
thing that they see in others. They get discouraged just because it could just be like just your genetics, the way your body's built. Maybe there's something else you need to do. The blood never lies, right? So like, your doctor's going to help you figure that out. So I think that's got to be a priority.
Yes.
Um, if you discover that you have like this happened to a guy, a good friend of mine. He has like this thing going on in his heart, and so like when he rides his bike or exercises, he literally has to wear a heart monitor because he has to be very aware of how hard he presses his heart.
Hmm.
If you don't know that and you decide, hey, I'm going to go do a CrossFit thing, or I'm going to ride my bike for 40 miles and haven't ridden a bike in 20 years, like you could literally give yourself a heart attack,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think before step one, see your doctor, request your blood work, tell them what you're going to do. And then this is really cool. Go back in 3 months or go back in 2 months and request it again. And then you can see where it's going. And
Yeah.
there's something so great about that. My blood pressure, like I don't need medication for it. She was threatening to give it to me. So I'm nowhere near that. I'm nowhere near the diabetic territory with my blood sugar. I don't need a CPAP anymore. Like there's so many things that like I do sleep better, I feel better, and for me it was all just weight related.
That's
And
kind of a
then,
positive cycle too. If you start to sleep better, you start to feel better. I mean, all these things are kind of
yep,
probably build on each other.
totally. Yeah, and the thing that I remember, the big fear I had when in 2019 when I started this thing. So by the end of August was when I decided to try to shift. So through September, I made it great. Through October, I made it great. I remember walking around with my kid on Halloween carrying a bag of candy and like zero interest in anything in there. I felt like I could smell the chemicals coming off of it because, like,
So it
once your
wasn't
body,
because you were like, I can't have that. You had made a mindset shift.
it went from I can't have it to I don't want it. It was
That's
like
incredible.
it's weird, yeah, because like you start smelling like this Reese cup doesn't smell like real chocolate and peanut butter. What's in this thing? You know, like once you clean your system out, like
Yeah.
you experience that stuff differently. Yeah, and then I remember as we started to coast into Thanksgiving, I started to feel nervous. Like, man, I'm going to be surrounded by food I don't have control over. Because
Mhm.
up until then, like I'm doing our grocery shopping, I'm making my own meals. I'm packing food and bringing food with me to work. I had this plan that, like, I always had a plan, I always had a backup plan. I wasn't going to get caught anywhere where I was forced to eat something I didn't want to eat. And that's very strict, and that's one way to do it, and it definitely wasn't sustainable. But like this is how typically in my life I've treated diets up until up until this point, I was still kind of thinking that way. And when I saw that I made it through Thanksgiving, I ate a piece of pumpkin pie with Cool Whip on it, thinking for sure I was going to weigh 25 pounds extra the next day after I ate that.
Yeah.
And I hadn't gained any weight. And I was like, wait a minute,
Huh.
what's going on
Crazy.
there?
Crazy. You can live your life and still be in this lifestyle.
Yeah. And so it's enjoy. the process, enjoy people, because that's the other thing is when people are on strict diets. Like, have you ever tried to go out and eat with your friends when you're on a strict diet?
Yeah, you want to be that guy pulling stuff out of your bag at the table at the
It's no
restaurant.
fun for you
That's
or for
no.
them.
Yeah,
They're like,
it makes both sides feel a little uncomfortable, I think.
yeah, so be flexible. I can find something here I can eat. It's fine, and it may not be the ideal thing, but like I'm going to enjoy it. It's fine. Like I had a friend of mine today pick me up for lunch, and he said, "Hey, I want to go to Popeyes to get a chicken sandwich." I'm like, I'm fine with that. Let's go. I got an appointment at the racetrack tonight, so I'm going to burn it all off, whatever. So, like I think just thinking about things from that perspective of I'm not rewarding myself, I'm not punishing myself. Like just get rid of that mentality, get rid of that philosophy. And I want to chase that feeling like I feel good. My body feels good. I feel
This is a race towards something, not away from something.
that's it. Yeah. And then my heart goes out for people too, okay? Because I also know people who there are things going on in their body that like no matter what they eat, they feel bad. And there's supplements they have to take and do things, and I don't want to be unsympathetic or empathetic towards them because that's a real thing. But also, I want to encourage anyone who wrestles with their health to just think about it differently. Don't think about it again as I don't want to be the big person in the mirror anymore. I'm embarrassed
I
of
was
that
going to come
person.
back around to that because you're not the big person in the mirror anymore, but that was not, you went to that goal in a completely different way.
Mhm.
And you still got to, I mean, that is no longer the case. And I love that this has been an entirely different journey, the whole approach to the journey. This is inspiring because it's a completely, I think anybody that's dieted a lot or through their whole life,
Mhm.
does feel like dieting is you almost feel like, oh, here we go again. All right, I'm ready to go. Because I think people who've dieted a lot of people think don't have willpower, don't have this. They probably have more willpower than a lot of other people. But this is a way where you're not, ready to kind of hunker down and I can tough it out till I get where I want to go.
Sure.
And the way that you describe it sounds, like something where we're not going to just try to get to from A to B, but we're going to enjoy being on the journey from A to B.
It is, yeah. So if you're going to set a goal, so let's say, and all these goals, there should be long goals and there should be close ones, right? And the close ones are short goals. And so, like when I was pushing 300 pounds, I thought, okay, like my first goal, I don't have a date on it, but my first goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. So I'm just going to work and work and work and work until I get that 20-pound mark. And then I'm going to reassess it. I'm going to reassess what I'm eating, what I'm doing. And that's what I did. And then my next goal was to lose 10 pounds. And that's when I hit the end of doing like pure keto, 30 pounds. And again, like every time I hit a goal, I wanted to reassess that goal. Is this still what I want to do? How can I keep a plan, keep moving forward? And then that's when I shifted away from no carbs to just carb conscious. And the combination, in my experience, of just intentional eating, like clean eating with movement. Like my good friend of mine is a chiropractor. He's my chiropractor. His name's Shane McCall, Dr. Shane McCall, and he says movement is medicine. You know, not everyone can get on a bike and ride 30 miles. Not everyone has a bike. Not everyone has the time to do that. Not everyone has the capability to do that. That's fine. But maybe it's just after dinner, get up and walk around your neighborhood for 25 minutes or 30 minutes, or get up earlier in the morning and do that. Like having at least 3 to 4 times a week where you're moving, you're just getting up and you're just moving. Maybe there's a lack of community in your life. Maybe like this would be a great way to connect with some friends. Hey, can we meet on Saturday mornings at this time and walk this trail together, and just like have other people that can encourage you on the journey to help you get out of bed when you don't want to. It's like I was racking my bike up on my truck, and then driving 25 minutes to meet guys to ride our bikes for 30 miles. The longest trip was from my bedroom to the garage.
That's incredible. Yeah, well,
That was
that's
the
true.
hardest one, was to get up. I don't want to get up today. That was
You
the
just got to
hardest
get
one.
yourself on the bike. You just got to get yourself on the bike.
Get from the bedroom to the garage,
Yeah.
get the bike 25 minutes away so I can ride for 2 hours. Like those were easy compared to that 20 foot from the bed to the garage. But knowing that there were people that were waiting on me was
That
like,
helped you.
that kept me in the game, Yeah.
I love that. Well, this is there's so much in here that people can take away, and I like that you made this, you kind of assessed things and made this journey work for you and your life along the way and your situation, and
Still,
that's a huge lesson for everybody.
still doing that.
There's not only one way to do something, and you have to making something sustainable means making it work for you, and I love that you did that, and that's sort of that you were constantly that also if something kind of started to not work quite right, that you didn't say, well, forget this whole thing, we have to adjust. And that's a huge part too. I think a lot of people just give up if they mess up one little bit. Well, okay, we'll start over in a couple months, we'll do this again.
See, let me speak into that. So like sometimes there's like really hard situations where like you go on a trip, you go on vacation, there's a funeral and you got to leave town, and you end up just surrounded by very few good food options.
Mhm.
And day after day after day after day, finally, or there's guests in your house and they're always cooking and doing stuff. Like there's lots of scenarios where if you're trying to be really careful, like you can get tripped up. And there's a point where there's like this frustration barrier. You hit it, it's like, man, just screw it, whatever. Like what you can do is say, you know what, today I chose what I chose. I regret it because my body feels funky. Tomorrow I'm gonna choose something different. Like
Win
and
the day, win the day.
yeah, so like I have a lot of friends who are in the addiction world, and I work with a lot of guys who are addicts, and like one of the things they say is if you had to commit to being sober for the rest of your life, like you would never be sober, because just the pressure of trying to think through every season. I'm gonna be All I got to worry about is being sober today. If I can do it today, if I can say no to that stuff today and choose this today, because I think I can manage today,
I love that.
and
Hope
and
everybody heard that. That's really important. We just, like, let's just control right now today and try to get a W for the day.
Mhm.
And then we'll do that again tomorrow.
Yeah, and then like AA culture, like there's a sponsor, someone who's there for when you're thinking about making bad choices or self-destructive choices, which I like that language with our health because, you know, like before I started this journey, Kristen, it was hard for me to pass a gas station. I always had a Pepsi in my hand, always. Just the real sugar Pepsi was like my thing. I drink probably 5 or 6 20-ounce bottles a day of those things. If I go to Chili's or
We
go to
do
a
that.
restaurant, I get a minimum of 4 to 5 refills. Just the amount of sugar and pop. That's like the biggest hurdle for me actually was like the withdrawal your body goes into from
Oh,
the caffeine and the
it's
sugar and all
hard, man.
that
It's
stuff.
hard.
Oh, I need a Coke. But like just the language that coincides with like the addiction culture and addiction world is like I need someone who's been through this that can help anchor me in moments when I've lost my bearings, and just not to shame me, but to remind me what I want. I remember you said
Mm,
you wanted this. So if you're able to be vulnerable enough to share and say, man, I really want this thing right now. I really want this pop, or I want to go do this, or I want to go do that. Like, let's talk about what's going on. Because probably what you're going to find, what I found is a lot of that stuff's connected to just negative emotional stuff going on inside of me.
yes.
And sugar is a drug. Sugar is America's like parent approved drug.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. 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 That well, what are we kids seeing on the commercials with their cartoons?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, this is huge. This is such a good talk. I'm so happy that you were on and could run through all of this. So
Yeah.
many huge takeaways, and I think this is going to be hugely helpful for many, many folks listening here. On a bit of a fun note, because I hope everybody gets a chance to hear you sing, because yeah, I can't hear your voice enough.
Oh, you're
Where
sweet.
can people hear you if they want to hear a little more, hear some more from you and get to hear this incredible instrument that you have?
Well, there's a couple places. I'm a worship pastor at Christ Church of the Valley, and I'll say this: I walk among giants. There are so many incredibly talented people on staff here at the church, and I,
Awesome.
I have to pinch myself literally. I can't believe I get to stand next to some of these people. It's amazing. They're amazing. But if you like old soul country vibe, that's kind of my thing. You can look on Apple Music or Spotify, just wherever you listen to music. If you just look up Ryan Hunt, I've got a few albums out there too you can listen to. So
That's phenomenal. Well, Ryan, thank you again. I'm so excited you were here, and I hope you'll come back again and let me question you more.
sure, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Ryan, you have a wonderful day, and thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Dude, we'll see you.